In today's video, I'll be challenging myself to build a brand new update 1.1 factory. The catch here is that I have to use everything that's new in the update, and surprisingly there's quite a few different items here, so this should be rather fun. And obviously I can also incorporate other items into this build. Let's get started. So this is where I've decided to build the factory. We're positioned in the very southwest of the map, and for the first time in months we are playing on ultra graphics. We are going to be needing a bunch of limestone because I am planning to build a very small concrete factory. Let it begin. So despite the fact that this is going to make this project a bit harder, I want to collect all of these power slugs. We then turn the slugs into shards, add our shards into our miner, and there we go, 1,200 limestone per minute now. Look how quickly that's filling up. So now 1,200 divided by 3 gives us 400. 400 divided by 15 gives us 27, roughly. Now it's time to use our very first 1.1 feature, our conveyor throughput monitor. We're going to add one right there, and of course I'll be adding a few of these across the project, but it's still good to know that I've definitely got 1,200 limestone coming into here. We can now go ahead and remove this. Still a lot more items to go though. I'm then going to go ahead and add in this basic concrete wall going across this wall right here. I might add some glass up here eventually, although I think I might even go one level higher. And the reason for this is because I want to try and add, when we go to our foundations here, it's the reverse ramp, and I think I want to try and do it in coated concrete there as well. So this is going to be somewhere on this level, just like so. We're then going to have a couple of pillars going up there, and then essentially this is going to be our main foundation of the factory itself. Although I might even lower it by one, because that seems a little bit too high. Then let's just extend the base around this side. I'm probably going to make it a little bit longer on either side. So I'm not going to end the wall here just yet, because again, that might have to be continued. But essentially, this is the regular base pattern I'm pretty happy to go with. Then let's add in our roof up there, and then there we go. This is our very, very basic design that we've got going on so far. In fact, I don't like that. You know what? That's quite a bit better. All I've got to do now is replicate it on this side. Now it's time for our second new update 1.1 feature. And of course, we're going to try and find a way to actually get our limestone into the factory itself. The obvious thing I could actually try and do here when I go down to the wall segments is I could use this, the conveyor wall haul, except I obviously don't want to do that. Instead, I'll be using this, which I believe should just go in like that. So, I know I'm cheating here, but I'm sure I'll be using this throughout the process again. There we go, perfect. I'll get rid of that. Now let's try and do some nice patterns below here. I think that might end up looking rather nice. Yeah, it's not shabby, that. In fact, I'm actually going to get rid of this, and you'll see why in just a moment. We'll then get some coated concrete foundations on the actual inside of this factory, which, speaking of, is about time we actually place down our constructors. But there's a couple of things I still want to do first over here. And as you can already tell, yes, I've established a logistics flaw. I can't help myself, okay? I'm sorry. Honestly, it's probably an addiction at this point. Okay, this actually doesn't look too bad. Now, what am I trying to add in here? Basically, I'm rather interested to see if this is actually going to work. I don't know how high I want to build this thing, but essentially, I'm planning on having some sort of floor up here. That's mostly just going to be here for looks and just for like a vantage point over the factory and the rest of the map. Firstly, let's just get rid of these two windows and these four ramps here, because I actually want to try and have some sort of pathway, like pedestrian pathway, going up here. Except not over the edge, because then they'll die. Which is mostly upsetting, because I don't want to get sued. Although, could I potentially do this? Actually, this looks better. Let's put you back. Now, what do I do here? Yeah, good enough. In fact, I'm wondering, can I place you at the end of every foundation just like that? One more there, one more there. Then can I potentially do the exact same thing underneath here? Then select our round concrete and just build you up like so? How would that look? Yeah, I like that. Yeah, nice. So now you can go, and you can go. Oh yeah, and the lift as well. I feel like it's still missing something. Could I maybe do something like this? What would this look like? I mean, it's something, I suppose. How about we do it here as well? Maybe just like the entire way around. Yeah, it looks decent when we paint it in steel. Let's cross off those H-beams. Okay, I've made a very quick minor adjustment. Essentially, now our lift actually comes down to here. I'm going to build a pathway that then connects this build to the mainland over there, which literally just cuts straight across our conveyor belts. This way now, one of our lift floors is actually this level, which can then go up to here, our main factory level, and then again, a third level going up to here now. Annoyingly though, this doesn't actually touch the ground. That of course is not a problem. Let's just double check that everything here is working fine. I forgot to add a third floor, nice. Luckily that's pretty simple to do. Bam! Now let's pretend like that never happened. Let's go up to the third floor. And the views here are actually really good. I think this project actually ended up looking pretty decent. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to leave a like. Thank you. Okay, so the good thing now with this path, all I've got to do is that. There we go, a very simple connection. And I'm hoping to use a few more architectural pieces over here. Firstly, zoop that thing. Give me more patterns. I know this completely breaks our color scheme, but let's just paint it red. How about these concrete pillars? You know what? I'm feeling it. Okay, this looks dreadful. Bridge is bridging. Only they added some sort of architectural piece to make bridges look a little bit nicer. Oh wait, probably a decent time to try and use these braided cable clusters. And I've never really built anything like this before, as it will probably show in a moment, but let's see how this will look, for example. If it looks bad, that's completely fine. I don't mind redoing elements or portions of it, but hopefully not the entire thing looks terrible, though. Okay, I think we can get it to work. Wow, I absolutely hate that. Instead, let's go up from here. Also, let's just try and use the regular braided cable as well as the braided cable cluster to try and knock two birds with one stone. Well, I've just learned the hard way that I just can't build bridges. This is all gonna go. Off camera, I'm gonna make it my mission to try and master bridges. I'm then gonna make an entire video just dedicated to bridges in Satisfactory. That is now gonna be my main goal in life. Having said that though, I've got nothing wrong with this lower part of the bridge, so I'm just gonna end up keeping that. But yeah, so far this factory's looking fine. I do want to try and start working on the actual constructors themselves though, because I think what I'm actually gonna end up doing is placing them on this level right here, maybe even a little bit lower, and then again having a somewhat logistic floor underneath here. So let's get that floor plan sorted. And essentially, this is what it's going to end up looking like. There's going to be 14 constructors on each side, but one constructor at the end of each of these rows is going to be underclocked a little bit. And I have changed the area here slightly. I removed the stairs here, and instead I've added the stairs over on this side here as well, which I think looks completely fine. But regardless, we still got to do that side, connect all the power, add in the conveyor belts as well, so there's still quite a lot more work to do. And yes, I've also added in this asphalt layer that's like 1 meter below the regular pathway. This way it just gives it a little bit more depth, and I generally just quite like it. I've also had to move this entire floor 1 meter further underground. The reason for that is because otherwise these conveyor lifts would go through the floor, and that would just annoy me like beyond belief, so yep, we've done that. Just like that, all of our constructors have now been placed. Next up, what we have to try and do is actually connect our limestone into our constructors themselves. So all I'm going to do here is just grab our splitter and place it down literally right there. We're then going to grab our Mark 6 conveyor belt, drag it into our splitter. Then I wonder, should we use the curve setting? Why not? We'll do a curve over there and a curve over there as well. And just like that, we have now got 1,200 limestone per minute traveling on one conveyor belt line, which is fantastic. Although it's not actually working. Maybe if I reconnect this again, will that work? I mean, it should already be working. Oh, there we go. So it seems like either this is a bug or something's generally just gone wrong here. Looks like we have a lot of work to redo. Look at how satisfying that looks. There seems to be some sort of bug actually with the conveyor lifts. For whatever reason, the limestone wasn't actually going up, and now the concrete's not going down. So it looks like this is a brand new bug in this update. Now let's see, is this gonna work? Because if it does, it means that we've now fixed the bug. And yep, just like that, all of our constructors have now turned on. So let's refill in the floor where I've made a bit of a mess. And now let's focus a little bit more on actual decoration around this place. And yes, by the way, I've added in dozens of these conveyor throughput monitors. So I think I've finally figured out what I want to have on that top floor over there. Essentially, right now we are producing a bunch of concrete. And because this is not really a fully functioning world, I've got nothing to do with that concrete. So I think I'm going to try and send it into the awesome sink through the second floor, which is where we're then going to have the awesome sinks placed. The outside of our factory is now complete. Well, mostly complete. Because we still need to try and find a way to get all of our concrete onto the roof. And I have turned the light on here because it is getting rather dark. But essentially, there's still one item that we haven't yet used that we can massively use for this segment of the video. And that's the priority merger. In theory, I could just use a regular merger here and it would make zero difference. A priority merger has much better needs. Again, I've already made a video talking about it. But for this scenario, I need to use the merger on something, and I think this is a pretty good place to actually use it. So let's hook up our conveyor belts just like so. And I want to try and bring this conveyor belt underneath here to around about this location. We are then going to zoop this conveyor belt lift all the way up like so, until it's somewhere on this level, which I believe should be absolutely perfect. We then have to select our Mark 6 conveyor belts, drag this to around about here, and then lastly we are going to need our awesome sink. And we have to make sure that it will line up with this. And it actually looks like this is almost a fantastic location for it. There we go, brilliant. Boom, just like that. We then hook that up to there. And then what I'm actually going to do is a little trick that I've shown on a couple videos before. I'm going to select my power line and I'm going to just chuck that into there. Obviously though, the roof is not yet finished, so what else do I want to try and add up here? Well, call me basic, but I think these glass frame foundations should work out rather well. Well, this looks completely fine, however, I don't necessarily just want it to be fine. So what I'm going to try and do is actually add in a few of these high barriers all the way around the central parts of the awesome sink itself. Yeah, it looks okay. Now, there's a couple more architectural pieces I can very easily add, and one of which is going to be these fans right here. I'm going to try and make sure that I definitely place them on the same level, and yep, that looks good. And there we go, it's a very simple addition. Then I think these vents in between all of these pillars could end up looking interesting. In fact, that's probably a bit too much. I think honestly, just trying to scatter them every here and there should be okay. There we go, I've tried to place them a little bit more evenly across the factory itself. Now we still got the basic shelf units, the buffer stop, the hypertube branch and the hypertube junction, as well as this massive gate, and of course the cable clusters there as well left to go. I honestly don't think this can go in many other places than here. Oh, never mind, this is actually a perfect fit. And how about we use the braided clusters to somewhat go like the entirety around here? Maybe that could work. I mean, it's not necessarily what it's designed to do, but it's what we're gonna make it do. It looks a little bit strange, but I think it's okay. How the hell do I incorporate those hypertube junctions and branches into this build? But this has nothing to do with hypertubes. Well, what if it did? If I try and come over here to remove this very quickly, then branch you out to over there, and fill in these gaps like nothing ever happened, perfect. And then we build some sort of helipad, which in case you're wondering where I'm going with this, I don't know, I'm kind of just making this up like what I always do. Okay, the helipad idea kind of sucked, so instead what I'm going to try and do is mess around with a bunch of these hypertubes, and try and find a way that I can essentially... What are my legs doing? Anyway, trying to find a way that I can circle all these hypertubes around while I was using these branches and junctions, then aiming the hypertube in this direction to then shoot myself using a hypertube cannon over our factory. And of course, if you need any actual help building these hypertube cannons yourself, then feel free to check out the tutorial currently on screen. So trying to build this with a broken mouse, oh my god. And just like that, we built our hypertube cannon. We've also added in a radar tower there, just to fill up the space, and we've also added in our shelves. The last thing left to do, for now at least, is to test that everything is... Oh. I forgot how this works again. So wait. So I go around here, and then... There we go. Okay, brilliant. That all works. I didn't really get a massive boost there, but you know what? The hypertube cannon works, so that's fantastic. So we've used the cable cluster. We've used the new gate there as well, which is fantastic, which I can't apparently select. Cool. There we go. Lovely. We've also used the hypertube junction and the storage box shelves. The last thing to do now is to use this thing, which is the buffer stop. And that shouldn't be too difficult. There we go. If we add it to the side of the lift, how does that look? You know what? It does look a bit weird, but I kind of like it. That is it. We have used every 1.1 item to make this factory. So let's have a very, very quick tour, shall we? First of all, let's call the elevator. We then have to go, there it is, to our second floor. Well, in theory, this is actually the first floor, because in the UK at least, the very, very bottom floor is called the ground floor, and then the second floor is called the first floor. It's a bit weird, but it's the way we do things around here. Then this is our main factory itself, which in all honesty, it doesn't look that bad. Regardless, let's now make our way up to the third and final floor. And again, look at these views. I think the elevator, or the lift as I call it, adds a lot to the game, but I think these views in particular look absolutely stunning. All we then have to do is just fly over to our awesome sink, then there you go, yay, it's functioning, everything's fantastic. And of course, then the very, very final thing to check out is this area down here, which to be fair, I would have probably added some more like doors around the outside if this was like my real 1.1 world, but of course it's not. We've got a bunch of different storage containers here. Imagine there was a drone port here. I feel like that would make a bit more sense, so that you're trying to store all these items and then transport using a drone or whatnot. Luckily, when it comes to this save, I'm not messing around with any type of drone, thank the heavens, because they really do end up annoying me. Regardless, anyway, to end off, we've then got our hypertube cannon, which does work, but the question is, am I going to get this first try? Oh, we actually did. What a fantastic way to end off the video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.